Hi, my name is Alex, and this is lesson 12 for 7th grade math. So, here for the first part, you just need to simplify uh, what they give you. And to multiply these out, you could use FOIL, which stands for first, outside, inside, and last. So, for like number 1 here, you first start off by multiplying the first terms. So, 6x and 2x, which equals 2x squared. Then multiply the outside terms, which means 6x times -1, and that's -6x. Then multiply the inside terms, which are -1 and 2x. So that becomes -2x. Then multiply the last terms. So multiply -1 with -1, which makes +1. So number 1 is 12x squared minus 8x plus 1. Okay. Number 2, just do the same thing using FOIL. So multiply the first terms, 6x squared. Multiply the outside terms, which makes plus 6x. Then multiply the inside terms, which gives you -4x. Then multiply the last terms, which gives you -4. So number 2 is 6x squared plus 2x minus 4. For the next part, you need to simplify these, and you're supposed to be solving for 0. I know it doesn't say that, but you should solve for 0 here. So for number 1, to solve for this, you have to factor. And when you're factoring an equation, then you're basically trying to find the factors of a times c that add up to b. So for number 1 here, there's a coefficient of 1 right here. And it's coefficient of 3 for the second term, and it's 2. So basically, we're trying to find the factors of 2 that add up to 3. So there's only 2 factors for 2, which are 2 and 1. And if you add that, that's 3. So to factor this, since our coefficient is 1, you don't need to put anything here. So it's x plus 2 times x plus 1. And you could easily check this by just multiplying it out. Okay, and so you're solving for 0 here. It's x plus 2 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. So you're going to have two solutions, and it's going to be -2 and -1. Okay, so we're just finding the factors of 1 times 2 that add up to 3. And for 2, you don't have any factors besides 2 and 1. So you just write it as x plus 2 times x plus 1. And you don't put anything in front of the x's because the coefficient is 1. Okay, let's do number 3 here, since it's similar to number 1. Right? It has a leading coefficient of 1. And just like the problem above, you're basically just trying to find the factors of 9 that add up to 6. So the factors of 9 are 1 and 9 and 3 and 3. 1 plus 9 is 10. So we know that's not it. But 3 plus 3 is 6. So this is what we use. So to factor this, you're writing x plus 3. And you're multiplying that by x plus 3. You could also write this as just x plus 3 squared. And to solve this, just set x plus 3 equal to 0. And if you move the 3 over to the other side, that gives you an answer of x equals -3 for number 3. On the next page, number 7, it's pretty much the same thing. We have a leading coefficient of 1. And This time it's a little different because you have a negative, which means you're trying to find the factors of -4 that add up to -3. So if you're multiplying to get a negative number, one of those factors has to be negative, which means this time it's going to be a little bit, there's going to be more combinations, which means the factors of 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2, right? But since it's a negative number, you need to have one negative, which means it could either be -1 times 4 or +1 times -4. And for 2 and 2, it has to be -2 times 2. And you have to find the one that adds up to -3. -1 plus 4 is +3, so that's not it. And -2 plus 2 is 0, so that's not it either. But 1 plus -4 is -3, which means this is what we use. So to factor this, it's going to be x plus 1, +1, times x minus 4. And to solve this when it's equal to 0, you just set x plus 1 equal to 0 and x minus 4 equal to 0. That makes your answer as x equals -1 or x equals 4. Okay. Number 8 is similar as well. It's the leading coefficient is 1, so it's a lot simpler. And here, 1 times -3 is -3. So we're trying to find the factors of -3 that add up to -2. The factors of -3 are just +1 times -3 or -1 times 3. And +1 times plus -3 is -2. So that's the one we use. So to factor, it's x plus 1 because it's positive times x minus 3 because it's negative. You set that equal to 0. And to solve for this, it's going to be x plus 1 equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. And this makes your answer as x equals -1, comma 3. Okay. This next section is about fractional exponents. And basically, when you have an exponent that's a fraction, the denominator and the numerator does different things. So I'll show you. When it's, let's say you have a number, x, and you raise it to a fraction, then this will be like this. The denominator determines what you're going to, what root it's going to be, and the numerator is going to be inside this. So an example of this is number 1 here, 16 to the power of 1/2. So this means that it's the square root of 16 to the power of 1. That's just your normal square root of 16, which is just 4. For number 2, it's 9 to the power of 5 over 2. And just like over here, this turns into the square root of 9 to the power of 5. And 9 to the power of 5 is 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 times 9. So you could pull out 2 pairs, which means it's going to be 9 times 9 times the square root of 9, which means it's 18 times 3, which is also 243. So that's your answer. Okay, so for number 8 here, this is 6 to the power of 4 over 3 times 6. And 6 is also just 6 to the power of 1. So you could also write it out like that. And to make this a little bit simpler, you could just add this. And that's just an exponent rule that you need to know. So if you're multiplying two terms with the same base, then you could just add the exponents. So this would be 6 to the power of 7 over 3. But 6 to the power of 7 over 3 can also be split up into 6 to the power of 6 over 3 plus 6 to the power of 1/3. And 6 over 3 is just 2. So it's 6 squared plus 6 to the power of 1 over 3, which means that this is 36 plus 6 to the power of 1 over 3. Okay, number 9 is a bit similar because here it's 6 to the power of 4 over 3 over 6 to the power of 1 over 3. And just like before, you could use an exponent operation to simplify this and make this easier. So if you're dividing, then you could subtract the exponents if it's the same base, meaning that this could also be 6 to the power of 4 over 3 minus 1 over 3. And this is just 6 to the power of 3 over 3, or just 1. So your answer is just 6 for number 9.